Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, tonight is an awesome video. I'm going to be honest, this one made my heart smile, and I hope it's going to make your heart smile. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. This one flies right in the face of all of the far left gun control advocates, all their talking points about background checks. Now what we're going to talk about tonight is how the background check system, existing background check system, caught a record number of gun sales that should have been prohibited and canceled them. Now, before I go too deep, I am not advocating for anyone losing their Second Amendment rights, and personally I think that the Second Amendment rights are one of the more paramount rights in the Bill of Rights. However, if you're looking at the argument that the far left uses, it's all about gun control, it's all about background checks, universal this, universal that. It's easier to buy a gun than to vote. There's too many guns, it's the wild, wild west out here. You guys know all the talking points. But this article flies right in the face. It's based off of data from the FBI. And this is something to share because these points are crucial for the fight for our freedoms. And that's why we're covering it. Now, down there in the description box, I always have the articles for your reference. So check that out. Make sure you guys can check me, see what I'm doing, make sure that I'm on my game. But also, there's a free newsletter right down there. And the reason that I'm doing that is I'm sending these videos that I put out every night directly to your inbox to take some pressure off the YouTube algorithm, which conveniently sometimes doesn't work. Right to your inbox every night, and I hope to see you on there. I'd love to have you and continue this fight for the Second Amendment rights that we are fighting really well for. So let's keep doing it, but let's dive into this article. Now, the article's titled, Background Checks Blocked a Record High of 300,000 Gun Sales. Records show the number of people stopped from buying guns throughout the U.S. background check system hit an all-time high of more than 300,000 last year amid a surge of firearm sales. Now, like I said, this flies right in the main talking points face of the gun control left, like right in their wheelhouse. And they're starting to have to really maneuver and twist, and watch how they do it, because this is funny. Once I set it up, we're going to go to how they're maneuvering. So, the number of people stopped from buying guns through the U.S. background check system hit an all-time high of more than 300,000 last year, amid a surge of firearm sales, according to new records obtained by the group Everytown for Gun Safety. Now, Everytown for Gun Safety is Bloomberg's group. They are one of the leading contenders on gun control, right there with Giffords.org. That's why it's funny that they came out with this, because it destroys their argument. Now, the FBI numbers provided to the Associated Press show that background checks blocked nearly twice as many gun sales in 2020 as in the year before. About 42% of those denials were because the would-be buyers had felony convictions on their records. According to the data, the rate of barred would-be gun buyers also increased somewhat over the previous 2 years from 0.6 to 0.8. Now, if you guys know and watch this channel for a while, you know that the last year was a record for gun sales across the board. So, someone who tries to punch a hole in this argument could say, well, yeah, there was a more number of people barred because a larger number of guns were sold. Yeah, they were. But the rate increased as well from 0.6 to 0.8. So not only did it hold its existing rate, it increased. The system worked better than it did the previous years. That's saying something. But now, the last piece, and then we'll get to the Everytown, how they start to twist, because it's hilarious. The increase in blocked gun sales largely tracks with the record-setting surge in sales that took hold along with the coronavirus pandemic and has continued into this year through historic demonstrations. Again, that's them trying to nullify the fact that the rate increased, right? This is where it gets great. Okay, this is from Everytown for Gun Safety. This is Bloomberg's group. The data shows how necessary the legislation is, said Sarah Bird Sharps, Everytown's Director of Research. So a high-level executive inside Everytown for Gun Safety is now saying that, well, it shows how necessary the legislation is. What legislation? The legislation that didn't get through, that's not even a bill, it's not even a law? You mean H.R. 8 and 1446, the two Democrat background check systems that went through the system, but they didn't get through the Senate, so they're still bills. Or are you talking about the existing background check system, which is already in place, which caught more people or more sales than ever before? You see my point? They're saying, well, you see how important the legislation is, pointing to the fact that there's new bills pending in Congress, but they're completely negating the fact that the existing law did not change, and it increased. It did its function. And they're trying to say, well, see how important legislation is? Yeah, it's already law. What are we talking about? It's a word game, but it gets even better. This one, I almost fell over. There's no question that background checks work, but the system is working overtime to prevent a record number of people with dangerous prohibitors from being able to buy a firearm. Really interesting. Did you see the wordplay? This is important, okay? There's no question that background checks work. Really, there's no question, because for about 6 to 8 months now, all we've heard is the background check system doesn't work. We need universal background check systems. We need. And yet when it does, all of a sudden it's not about it working, it's about how hard it's working. Here we go. But the system is working overtime to prevent a record number of people with dangerous prohibitors. So it went from not working to now it's working too hard. So we need more legislation. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the game that they're playing. And they're actually trying pretty hard right now, because this is falling flat right on its face. There's no question the background checks work. Okay, done. Why are we talking about it? Why is HR 8 and 1446 still even a thing if the systems already work? That's why we fight, guys. We pay attention to these little tiny nuanced arguments that they throw out all the time, because they constantly contradict themselves all the time. And the more that we share this information out, the more it helps the Second Amendment and the gun rights side, because they're full of it, 100%. Everything that they put forward does not work or is the manipulation, ergo this whole article right here. That's what I have for you guys tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and until tomorrow, I'm Braden. See you later.